Hello everyone and welcome back to Swooning over Stands. If you guys haven't watched the last episode of this because I completely forgot what happened, a link to that is up there and as well as in description. Anyway, we wake up to a loud crash downstairs. Entirely uncommon in this house, you're quickly finding out, but still disconcerting. More clatters and thumps lead you to the kitchen where Mabel teeters on a short stepladder in front of the pantry. Standing on her tiptoes, she reaches as high as she can for a small yellow box on the top shelf. Pancake mix. Without a word, you go to her side and pluck the box from the shelf for her, placing it into her outstretched hand. Oh, Lionel, thank you. Grunkle Stan put it on the top shelf for some reason, but need some Mabel cakes. It's a breakfast emergency. God, I don't know why I still have like a southern drawl over this, but I was sticking with it. She waggles her free fingers in front of your face, but you can't help but laugh. You can tell that the house becomes more alive when this kid is around. Want to help me make them? We only need some chocolate milk, coffee, pink food coloring, and pot of Goldos to make this breakfast dream a breakfast reality. As delicious as that sounds, you're inclined to ask where the coffee comes into the mix when you realize the house is suspiciously quiet. Mabel, where is everybody? Grunkle Stan needed stuff for the car, so he went and get some makey-takey stuff for that. I think Grunkle for it somewhere. He heard the abominable bro man was trying to steal soda from the campers, so went out to help him out. Yep, that's where he went. Totally knew that. So they left you guys to make breakfast on your own. You don't know the family well enough yet to know that this is commonplace, so the idea of leaving two teenagers alone to fend for themselves seems fine, if one of the teenagers wasn't Mabel anyway. You still don't know how the coffee fits into her Mabel cakes, but now you really don't want to know. Dipper attempts to hide the pancake mix from Mabel while she's grabbing chocolate milk from the fridge. Apparently he doesn't want to find out either. Mabel, well, your Mabel cakes sound absolutely divine. Why don't we, quick, think of something so you don't hurt her feelings. Go out for breakfast? I mean, that sounds like a neat idea. Is there somewhere we can go out to get breakfast? We should really save the Mabel cakes till your great uncles come back. We don't want them to miss them. But I want to perfect my recipe. I have to get better at cooking and baking and stuff so I can survive out there in the world. What if in high school I have to bake stuff and people are better than me? Mabel looks very agitated, tugging at the hair with both hands. If I can't make the perfect Mabel cakes, I can never be on Bad Dreams Dining. I gotta impress Gerald Rambone. It's my destiny. Quick, think of something so you don't hurt her feelings. Dipper, can you cook? Maybe Dipper can help you make something different. We should save the Mabel cakes for another day, a more special day. But Lionel! Mabel, still standing on a stepladder, reaches up and squishes your cheeks together, her wide eyes staring into your soul. Every day is a special day for Mabel cakes! You glance at Dipper, making a please help me and I'll buy you breakfast face, so you hope he understands. Yeah, Mabel, I know you want to cook more since you're becoming an adult. Sure, but don't you think Grunkle Stan and Great Uncle Ford should be here to help him too? Not just me, again. Mabel hops off the stepladder and ponders her brother's question, lips pursed. Eventually, she nods, beaming at you both. You're right, Dipper. I can't deny them the experience. You give Dipper a thankful smile over Mabel's head as she puts the ingredients back in the refrigerator. He grins back at you, rubbing the back of his neck. You wonder if he got that one from one of his grunkles. That's clever. Now that you think about it, great plus uncle to make grunkle. Saves time on syllables. We should go to Greasy's. They have some of the best pancakes out there, with like 3 different kinds of syrup if you ask Lazy Susan nicely. Yeah, sounds super far. Let's go. The kids are about to head out of the kitchen when you realize something. Wait, aren't you gonna leave a note for your grunkles about where we're going? No, right. Good call. Dipper scribbles out a note for Stan and Ford and sticks it on the front door of the shack with one of Mabel's stickers. The kids lead the way towards the town, explaining various landmarks and wild and wonderful stories attached to them on the way. And this is where we saw those 2 ghosty old people. In a convenience store. Strange, but you're not regardless. Maybe she just meant they were so old they looked like ghosts. Nope, they were actual ghosts. Dipper points out the diner at the distance, a log-shaped cabin built atop a train cart. and the three of you head inside. You soon realize that the kids know just about everyone in this town. Several people, young and old, wave at them as the three of you find a table. You get a feeling that they're almost famous in Gravity Falls, though you're not entirely sure why. They're pretty cute though. Mabel blows the paper wrapper off her straw at Dipper's face, and he retaliates by swatting her with the laminated menu. An elderly woman in a pastel pink waitress dress comes up to the table, and you catch the name on her tag, Susan. Hi kids and stranger, what can I get for you? Pancakes and all 3 serves for me, please, Lazy Susan. Same for me actually. Lazy Susan turns to you, notepad in hand. What will you get? Pancakes, scrambled egg and waffles! Scrambled eggs and bacon. God, why am I mixing things up? Coming right up, sweetie. Lazy Susan winks, with her good eye of course, and heads back to the back of the diner. The wait for your food to arrive feels longer here than most, mainly due to Mabel and Dipper using this time to interrogate you. At first it's somewhat intimidating. You literally crash into their house and start hanging out with their great uncles, so they have a lot of questions. Once the irrational fear of 2 13-year-olds fades out, you recognize their interview for what it really is. They care about their grunkles. If you start hanging out with them more, they want to know as much about you as possible. Mabel's questions are somewhat nonsensical. So, if you were stranded on a deserted island with no boat, no cheating, what would you take with you? Well, Dippers are more careful and calculated. What were you doing before you came here? School? Work? Both? Neither? Did you know about Gravity Falls before you crashed into the shack? You immediately know which grunkles each twin takes after. Stan and Mabel, goofy partners in crime, versus the quiet brainiacs, Ford and Dipper. It's an intriguing contrast, especially now that you've been thrown into the middle of the bunch. But as the twins race to see which syrup bottle drips into their mouths the fastest, Dipper's blueberry syrup beats Mabel's classic maple by half a millisecond. You swear on it. You know that these kids do a lot more for the great uncles than just being cute counterparts. And here we go! Enjoy, kiddos. Let me know if you need anything else. Lazy Susan gives out the respective plates and the kids go quiet, shoveling down their food like they've never been fed before. Between mouthfuls, you get a few more questions about yourself and your theories on aliens versus which member of M Synchronized was your favorite. But the table is near silent as the three of you eat. That's until Mabel speaks up through a mouthful of pancake. So, Lionel, if in a totally made up and not real situation, you had to pick who your favorite was, who'd you pick? Grunkle Stan or Grunkle Ford? This seemed way too planned compared to her other cutesy questions. Dipper elbows his sister, not so subtly, and she elbows him right back, wide eyes staring at him in a sibling-linked look you can't decipher. Like, say you're in a movie, one of those weird movies Grunkle Stan watches on TV with the ladies in poofy dresses riding horses. Awfully specific, but you let her continue, take another bite of your food. You're the main character of this movie. You got 2 guys who are both madly in love with you. This one doesn't mess around with getting right to the point, huh? But you could only marry one of them, so you could be next in line for the throne. What would you do? If Grunkle Stan and Grunkle Ford were your choices, who would you go with? Mabel, this is kind of weird, isn't it? Like, really weird? Kind of gross? Come on, Dipper. This is important information that's vital to my research. What research? None of your business, that's what. Yet. But I'm still gathering other research. Mabel leans towards Dipper's ears to whisper, waggling her brow at you before she replies, and not a whisper, but quite the opposite. Research into how you're a huge nerd! And with that, Mabel catapults the spoonful of melted butter from atop of pancakes onto Dipper's cheeks, with a very satisfying splat. Dipper jerks in disgust but retaliates by smearing strawberry syrup onto Mabel's nose, a drop of stickiness plopping onto her sweater. Ew, gross! You're gross! There's no vitriol between the twins, but lots of giggles and a few more various food missiles. Eventually, syrup streaks Mabel's cheekbones and some of her hair, and Dipper has a small piece of pancake stuck to his face. You guys are dorks. Maybe you're right. We're twins, so it's adorable. If so, Mabel. Wait, quick, Lionel, take a picture of us while Dipper's got pancake on his face. I have what? He quickly swipes at his face after several passes, gets it off. Let's try and get more candid picture of us. Mabel, you have syrup everywhere. Really? That would have been a perfect photo. Here, let me get it. Your hands are sticky enough. You get back up with napkin in hand and try to wipe off the syrup off Mabel's cheeks. The excess syrup swipes off easily, but a good portion doesn't budge. I mean, maybe syrup as makeup is it's a nice new look. That's one word for it, kid. Grunkle Stan and Ford! We wonder where you went since once we came back to a suspiciously quiet house. If it weren't for Dipper's note, we would have been worried. Sixer would have been worried. I try to tell him you kids pull this kind of stuff all the time, heading out unannounced, putting stress on your poor old Grunkle's heart. He puts a hand over his heart dramatically. All those missing hours of unpaid child labor! Actually, that note wasn't me. Well, I wrote it, but Lionel's the one who said we should, so you know where we went. Both Ford and Stan turned to you, surprised. Really? Figure these two knuckleheads dragged you here. Why not make breakfast at home? This place is at least 15 minutes walk from the shack. Well, you glance at Dipper, swiping his finger across Mabel's cheeks and licking the blueberry syrup off. Mabel has pancake in her mouth, chewing on it like a grazing sheep. I want to treat him to something, I guess. It's the least I can do. You're letting me stay here with you and fixing my car. I thought since you were gone, I'd take these two out for a change. Also, Mabel was gonna make Mabel cakes again. You're just mad you can't even make toast right. Yeah, I can. I burned it one time. One time! Dipper holds his syrup-tipped finger in the air, indignant. Well, Mabel wanted you guys to enjoy her Mabel cakes too, and since there wasn't much food, I figured I'd take them out. Ford asked Mabel about her creation, wondering how much extra caffeine one could gain from adding instant coffee to the concoction, but Stan stays quiet. You catch him in the corner of your eyes. He stares at you, a lopsided smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. Thanks, Lionel. Appreciate it. Yeah, no problem at all. You smile warmly at Stan despite the heat spreading over your cheeks, but he's rubbing the back of his neck, looking down at his feet. Mabel throws a theatrical wink your way. You're not sure why. Well, kids, if you're paying, scoot over, Dipper, and have a breakfast too. Stanley, it's at least 12:30 now. Grunkle Ford, that means it's time for brunch. Duh. See, this kid gets me. Now, let me in so I can get some grub. Dipper moves in to your side of the booth as Stan sits next to Mabel, and Ford sits at Dipper's side. Lazy Susan comes back and takes orders for another round of food and drinks for everyone, including Mabel, who decides she wants more pancakes. You start to regret offering to pay, but Stan and Mabel try their hand at syrup drip race, with Dipper cheering them on, Ford watching with a white grin on his face. You know you don't mind that much. Over the next few days, you continue to help out around the Mystery Shack, not out of obligation, but because you have nothing better to do. Besides, Seuss, practically the golden retriever of people, is really digging the input on the current installments from an outsider's perspective. Bless his soul. The guy even offered you a job if you ended up stranding here like forever, dude, and need to make a life for yourself. Stan nearly choked on his ice pop as he overheard. Thinking about it now, the relationship between Seuss and Stan is unexpected, if not a little odd. But it makes you smile that no matter how many times Stan may roll his eyes as he does it, he'll always help Seuss get something done right. Showered and dressed, you go outside as per usual, but you don't see anyone. After a few minutes search, you find Stan standing in the back with his back to you in one of the exhibit rooms, admiring the weird and wonderful animal amalgamates he's collected for his tourist trap, hands at his chin and in thought. Am I interrupting something important between you and Gooserky? Stan turns to you at the sound of your voice, smiling. Nope. You need something? You have any plans tonight? He mulls over your question for a few moments, give you an assessing a look up and down. Got a couple errands to run. Why? You want to tag along? Sure, sounds like fun, or if you need a partner in crime. Depends on what kind of errands you have in mind. Actually, I need to see what Ford's up to today. Only if you need a partner in crime. Stan blinks in surprise. What are you, psychic? What, really? It's just a figure of speech. He guess you should have known better. Alright, I'm heading out in a couple hours. Meet me out front. Couple hours, but... No buts, Lion. You can't rush this stuff. Trust me. Okay, sure. Not ominous at all, Stan. Not ominous at all. Yeah. Meet me out front if you think you can handle it. He starts to go, but stops for a moment, then turns back. Oh, we're black. Something you don't mind getting dirty. And before you can ask why, he's gone into the depths of the shack. A couple hours turns into a handful, which you pass by watching some TV with Mabel and Dipper and dozing off. You have no idea what kind of satellite they get out here, but it shows how on now are some of the most bizarre programming you've ever seen. Once you've had enough of waiting, you change into your darkest clothes and sit in the front of the shack, watching as the sun starts to sink past the trees. It's cloudy and unusually warm for this time of day. There's a nice breeze out. It's strange that these errands need to happen so late in the day, considering the things you've gathered about his criminal past. However, maybe this is a typical weekday night for Stan. The screen door creaks out, and out comes Stan, dressed in all black like you are, with a lumpy duffel bag under one arm and a briefcase in the other hand. What are we doing? As he's about to speak, a sudden gust of wind comes along and ruffles his hair, and he smooths it down irritatedly before regaining his cool and nodding at you. Ready? Ready. You slide into the passenger seat as Stan settles into the driver's seat. It takes a couple tries to start, but the engine starts chugging away by the time you got your seatbelt on. The radio stammers to life as the engine does, spinning out generic-sounding rock music into the leather-scented air of the car's interior. After a moment spent adjusting mirrors and fiddling with the knobs, Stan slots the gear shift into drive and pulls out the mystery shack slot and down the road to town. The radio's on and Stan taps his fingers on the steering wheel to the beat of the music while he drives. So, I take it we're not making a quick trip for milk and eggs. He laughs and glances over at you. Nope. Then where are we going? First stop is to see a buddy of mine, a hunter. I get all my taxidermy supplies from him. So that's where you get your parts from? Yeah. I figure you get them from a local farm or something. And do business with those hippies? Ugh, not a chance. I enjoyed making that showpiece of you the other day. I had no idea you were so creative. He glances over at you with poorly hidden surprise, turning almost immediately back to the road and shrugging. It's just gluing stuff together, really. That's one way to talk about it. Nah, it really takes a lot of skills. Okay. Really, it takes a lot of skill. You have a real gift for it. He turns to you again, and his cheeks go a little pink when he sees the smile you give at him. Well, thanks. After a moment, he faces the road again, but now he's tapping out the rhythm of the song with a little more enthusiasm and even humming the chorus as he drives. Do you have any other hobbies? He rolls his shoulders back in a shrug, his head tilting off a bit towards the window. These days I spend most of my time out on a boat with Ford, hunting monsters, discovering things. He pauses, watching the road with that expression. I used to box. It shows, really? God, I don't know what to go for here. It shows. He looks at you again, grinning. That's amazing. I wish I had a grown-up doing something like that. I wouldn't mind showing you a few things if you wanted. I'd like that. I don't think I'll be any good at it. I'd like that. After about 20 minutes of rural scenery, Stan pulls off the road and onto a long gravel driveway that disappears into the woods. Is this the place? Stan nods and rounds a turn to reveal a clearing populated by a trailer home and a couple sheds. The trailer is a bit run down and shabby, and one of the sheds looks like it's about one strong sneeze from collapsing. Not really the place you want to be at night, well alone with a guy you practically just met. Be honest, did you bring me here to murder me? Stan laughs, cutting the engine and resting his arms on the back of the front seat. Unfortunately, you figured it out, so now I gotta kill you. I'm kidding, kid. Relax. He moves to get out of the car, then back with a creepy blank expression on his face. Or am I? You chuckle nervously and he laughs again, pushing the door open. Seriously, I'm kidding. Won't be long. At the door to the trailer, Stan knocks and the door opens on a dark interior before he walks inside. The door shuts behind him. You give the yard a few curious glances before realizing that the weird pile of sticks you'd been looking at is actually bones. You quickly pull out your phone to look at it instead. 10 minutes later, and Stan's back, carrying a large metal box in both hands. You see him fumble with the handle of the rear left door for a moment before you reach back over the seat and pop it open for him. A peek in the box reveals a few various shades of furry somethings and an animal skull you don't realize. This doesn't seem like something worth busting out all your darkest duds for. We aren't by any chance robbing a bank, are we? Because I would have brought gloves. Stan laughs. Nah, nothing like that. He starts the car up again, and you're back on the road. Somehow I'm not quite convinced. Well, who knows where the night's gonna take us? Could be legal, could be not. Not a problem? Actually, yeah, nope. Can we swing by a jeweler? I need a new watch. You're right, kid. Stan takes the highway. The final minutes of the sunset's burnt orange and purple ahead of you, while the welcome sign for Gravity Falls disappears into the rear view mirror. A new song comes on the radio, something bright and bouncy, lyrics about love, and his fingers get back to tapping. In the retreating light, you see faded patches of the rim of the steering wheel, the color worn away from decades worth of its touch. The passenger seat you sit in hasn't yet taken on the shape of someone specific, even after all this time. The springs still feel brand new. Meanwhile, the driver's side of the car stands settled easily into his seat, which fits him as well as a finely tailored jacket. You tuck your leg up under its mate, leaning back onto the dark leather of the DeVille's interior and watch cars pass and recede out the windshield. After a few minutes of music-backed silence, you feel like breaking it. Tell him a joke, ask him about his car. Tell us about his car? Stanmobile here? Stan pats the dashboard affectionately, running his fingers over the leather interior. I've had her since high school. That's right, ain't she? I'm surprised an old rust bucket like this has lasted so long. They really don't make them like they used to, do they? Nope, they sure don't. After a few minutes of music-backed silence, you feel like breaking it. Ask about him. You from Oregon originally? Nah, I'm from out east, Jersey. Little town called Glassshore Beach. Ah, yes, named the town after something dangerous. I'll bring the tourists in. You'd be surprised. What's it like? He shrugs. Well, why move out here? That's a long story. His voice is quiet, and he watches the road ahead with an intense focus, but the expression doesn't last long before he brightens and smiles over at you. You don't want to hear it anyway. Let's tell a joke. Why did a chicken coop have two doors? Why are there fences around the graveyards? My granddad had the heart of a lion. Let's go with that. Stan glances over at you, momentarily confused as to why you're bringing this up. And a lifetime ban from the zoo. Stan laughs. Ha! That's pretty good. He thinks for a minute, presumably to come up with a joke of his own. Alright, a blonde walks into a bank in New York City. Oh no, this isn't gonna be one of those awful blondes are dumb jokes, is it? He levels a withering look at you. Can I tell a joke? I don't know, can you? You grin for your lower lip caught between your teeth, clearly joking, and he chuckles. Anyway, blonde walks into a bank in New York. She goes up to the bank manager and she says, I'd like to take out a loan for $5,000. I'm taking a vacation overseas. The car passes you on the highway going 20 over the speed limit, and Stan swears and then stifles it. Yeesh, night drivers. So the bank manager goes, well, miss, you have collateral? We need collateral for that kind of loan. And she nods and she says she does. And she takes the bank manager out to the parking lot, where she's got $50,000 Ferrari waiting. And she says, this is my car. You can't hold on to it until paying back my loan. Stan continues, glancing over at you and trying to suppress a smile. The bank manager's confused. But figures if this lady doesn't pay, she's gotta have a nice new Ferrari in his garage. So he agrees. The sign for an exit ahead points off to the next right. The text reading Country Road 328, and Stan takes it off the highway. So he gives the blonde her 5 Gs. She hands him the keys to the car and she heads off to Europe. A month later, she shows up to the bank with the new 5 Gs and the interest for the loan, which figures out to be about $15. Stan continues, turning down an unlit gravel road, the headlights casting spooky shadows through the trees. The bank manager takes the repayment for the loan and the interest and has one of his employees bring the car out in front of the bank for the loan. Out ahead of the road, a deer turns its face to the car and then leaps across the road to disappear into the woods. Just before she leaves, the bank manager stops the blonde and says, Lady, I'm real confused here. You're clearly loaded enough to afford the car, and you pay back the loan and then some. Why take out a loan if you're so rich? The lady turns to him, runs a hand through her hair, and says, Where else can I park my car in New York City for 2 weeks for only 50 bucks? Oh my god! Oh god, it is funny. That is funny. You burst into wild laughter and he laughs along with you. Alright, I take it back. That was the best blonde joke I've heard in my life. Just as you finish speaking, Stan pulls off the side of the road and the engine dies. As you step out of the car, the unearthly silence of the woods envelops the two of you. Out in the woods ahead, you see a single, bright light. Is this the place? Just about. You follow him back towards the trunk, which he opens quietly and slowly, frowning as it squeaks. What are we doing here? You might not guess it, look at me, but I got a thing. The two of you stare at each other for a moment. He looks a little nervous. For art. Was that all? That's pretty cool. Or really, I do too. I'm gonna go for that. Really, I do too. He brines, smiling in a dim haze of the trunk light. Well, this chump up this hill here has won by this artist, Gustave Cloning. Snuck it from right out under me at an auction. I've been trying to buy it off him for years, but a jerk won't sell no matter how much I offer him. And trust me, you meet this guy, you know it's out of spite. So we're stealing it. You got it, kid. I don't know how I'm okay with this, actually. Well, you did try to buy it at first. Frankly, I'm surprised you haven't done this sooner. Stan laughs quietly, fish around his duffel bag for you don't know what. Wait till you see. It's a masterpiece. I've been waiting 6 months for him to be out of town. Here, take these. He pulls out a pair of gloves from the bag, handing them to you. When you slide them on, they fit almost perfectly. I guess your size right? You nod, wiggle your fingers. Stan chuckles, pulling out a pair of his own. A set of black leather driving gloves with a silver snap closures that glints in the light from the trunk. You ready, kid? As I'll ever be. You bet? You bet. Stan tucks a few things into the inner pockets of his jacket that you couldn't see the low light, and with the trunk shut just as quietly as it was open, you follow him up into the woods towards the distant light. As you near it, a porch takes shape within the light's glow. Behind it, the dark shape of a house sits in the ever darker woods. Stan leads you past the front porch and around the corner of the house to a set of stairs that appears to lead into a basement. This is my favorite part. He withdraws a small black shape from his pocket and something that looks like it might be a pen. The pen-shaped thing turns out to be a small flashlight, and he holds it in his teeth as he opens the black case to reveal a set of lock-picking tools. You're a lucky person, kid. You get to see an artist in action. He gets to work. He's turning one tool in and wiggling it down the bottom of the keyhole, then pulling out another and poking at the innards of the lock with it. He glances around in darkness as he works, half expecting to get caught before he gets anywhere. But then the lock clicks and Stan stands, opening the door for you with a flourish. Was that it? That was a lot quicker than I expected. That was so cool. He beams in pride and you smile politely as you step through the front door in front of him. The basement is unlit. It smells like dust and mildew. The air is sour with wet dirt and mold. Stan moves past you in the dark, his little pen flashlight still lit, and leads you through a cobwebby laundry room and towards a door across from the bottom of a set of rickety wooden stairs. Wait till you see this, kid. He picks the lock of this door just as quickly as he picked the last, and the door creaks open into the dark room with odd flooring barely lit by Stan's flashlight. Stan goes in first, and as you follow him in, he hits a light switch, revealing a beautifully designed gallery with plush scarlet carpets and gleaming wood paneling full of paintings of sad clowns. Why? Stan looks more excited than you've ever seen him yet, his arms crossed over his chest and a warm smile on his face. Can you believe that hillbilly chump put a collection like this? You shake your head slowly, still looking around the room with wide eyes. Someday, all these are gonna be mine. Come on, I'll show you the one we're here to get. You follow him to the back of the room, and he stops in front of a large painting of a clown with bright red lips and blue circles on his cheeks, his eyes outlined in black, with comically large eyelashes painted onto his eyelids. His neck ruffed droops sadly, and his costume is dingy and worn. What do you think? This is beautiful. You really like this thing? No kidding. Stan's voice is edged with hope. They're all beautifully done. It's nice to see somebody who really appreciates these things like I do. It's excellent, especially as an art piece. It's just plain excellent. I mean, I'll say it's just plain excellent. Love the irony. Clowns are supposed to be happy, but he's not. I wish I knew the backstory behind it. You look over at Stan and he looks delighted. Hot Belgian waffles! You really do like it! Oh, let's get this thing off the wall and out of here. As he works to get the Swooning down of the walls, you wander around the room, looking at the other paintings. As you look over a portrait of a man with dirt on his white and black striped shirt, you're suddenly grabbed by the shoulders. Boo! Ah! You scream, eyes shut in fear, as you throw a weak karate chop at the source of the noise, making unimpressive contact with something solid and muscular. After a moment's panic, you squeeze whatever the thing is with your hands and open your eyes, finding... Ha! Was that supposed to hurt me? I'm just trying to get a good squeeze in. Stan's arm and shoulders. Boy, he's really packing some heat in there. Wow. He laughs, apparently very pleased with himself for scaring the absolute life out of you. You need those boxing tips even more than I thought. You can't even defend yourself from a fly with moves like that. You laugh shakily, and it's then you realize you're still feeling up Stan's arm. I mean, heck, they're very squishable. Sorry about that. You pull your hands away a bit too fast, and he chuckles, blushing all the way up to his ears. No problem, kid. He clears his throat, and the silence between you begins to grow awkward before it's interrupted. Upstairs, in what is supposed to be an empty house, you hear footsteps crossing towards the door to the basement. Stan apparently hears them too, a sudden series of expression crossing his face, from shock to confusion to terror, and finally settling on indignation. He quickly takes you by the arm, whispering harshly in your ear as he drags you towards the entrance of the clown room. As soon as he comes in here, shut the door and I'll shove these boxes in front. You nod, and just as the line of light from the top of the stairs blooms into a wide swath, you and Stan duck behind a wall near the door to freedom. One corner of the stolen painting poking you uncomfortably in the ribs. Who's down here? Slippered feet comes down the wooden steps ahead of you, and when their owner notices the lights on, he holds something long and gun-shaped out in front of himself. But if that's you, I swear to God, I'm really gonna shoot you this time. Gun-shaped? Gun-shaped? Gun? Stan nudges you, jabbing a thumb towards the door leading outside, and jerks his head towards it. You take a step out from behind the wall, take Stan's hand in your own, and pull him into a jog, then run. The two of you scrambling up the concrete steps out into the cool night air as a voice shouts swears behind you. Stan kicks the door shut on his way out, and there's a startled yelp behind you as it makes contact with the owner of the house. There's no more swearing, but you lose it behind you as you run. Flashlight in one hand and Stan's hand in the other. When you reach the tree line, you part and maneuver your way through the bushes and brambles, Stan crashing through them behind you. As you run, a deafening gunshot goes off behind you, and you realize you're being chased. Holy smokes! Run for it, lion! His noises get closer, close enough that you hear your pursuer swearing continually and loudly. You slow a bit, flashing your right hand behind you and raising the beam to find the distant but visibly enraged face of a man with a rifle in his hands. Acting on pure instinct, you fling the flashlight in the direction of the angry man and take off running again. After a moment, the man cries out, and the sounds of pursuit fade with one final cry. Damn you, Pines! Stan cackles. Sounds like you hit him! You reach the Stanmobile first, sliding onto the passenger seat as Stan slips his new Swooning into the back seat before joining you in front, both of you panting and huffing. Stan hurriedly starting the engine and pulls off. At the next driveway, he goes down the fastest three-point turn you've ever seen in your life, and then peels down the gravel road and screeches out into the highway. Stands quiet for a second before letting loose into wild, triumphant laughter. I thought he was gonna catch me for that time for sure! Did the man just shoot at us? Stan nods, still chuckling, apparently pretty pleased he didn't get hit. He lets out a long, loud sigh as his white-knuckled hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Yeah, that was... Holy moly! You okay, Lion? Yeah, a little shaky, but I'm good. I'll let you know when I find out. I think I want to head back. I think I want to head back now. That was a lot. I'll let you know when I find out. He pulls back onto the highway, back in the direction you came from, and he lapses into comfortable silence. After a while, he starts humming along with the radio, and knowing the song this time, you hum along with him. Gravity Falls welcome sign passes by again, but the route Stan's taking doesn't seem to lead back to the shack. Instead, You come to a stop outside rows and rows of used cars, a car dealership. Stan slides out of the car, withdrawing something from a pocket within the breast of his jacket. Once you get out and around to the front bumper, you see that it's a cigar. You mind if I smoke? Nah, go ahead. Thanks. I don't like smoking around the kids, you know. Already a bad enough influence. He chuckles and withdraws a pack of matches in his pocket, and his face is bathed in the light of the flame. From your place, away down the road, Stan surveys the lot, eyes sweeping back and forth until they land on what looks like a fuse box under the dark overhang of the roof on the far side of the dealership. What are we getting? New drive belt, some spark plugs, couple other things. Can't remember the name of and aren't worth explaining. It won't take all night, though, right? He shakes his head, taking a long drag from the cigar, smoke rolling off his lips and into the night. You lean back against the front bumper of the car next to him and stuff your hands in your pockets. There isn't much light pollution around here, so the stars are bright and numerous above. Provided your car gets fixed up, this might not turn out to be such a bad trip. You take a deep breath in through your nose, the smell of sweet, heady cigar smoke and crisp night air filling your lungs. How are we doing this? We gotta get rid of the lights, I doubt. We gotta get rid of the lights. I doubt Bud's clever enough to have night vision cameras. He laughs a little as he speaks, smoke blowing out into the night with each individual laugh. But we cut the power to the whole place and the camera's gonna be gone anyways. So we cut the power, find a car, the same make and model as ours, and dig out the parts your car needs. In an hour, maybe an hour and a half tops. Yeah, I could get the lights. Stan turns his head and looks at you, waving away a fresh cloud of smoke as he accidentally exhales in your direction. You sure? Yeah, I got it. I got it. The two of you stand there in silence for a few more minutes before he bends down and grinds his cigar coal to the asphalt, straining with a groan and a huff of quiet laughter. Yeesh, starting to remember why I quit doing this kind of thing. You sure you're alright with this kid? No, robbing the place? You don't think I could do it? Nah, that's not it. You've been keeping up with me just fine all night. You just don't seem like you have a lot of experience here. I think I've gotten plenty of experience tonight alone. I'm nervous, but I can do it. He smiles, a warm and genuine expression that ignites something fuzzy and soft inside you. You don't notice you're staring until he turns away and moves away from the trunk. He reaches into the car and pulls a lever under the driver's side of the front seat, and the trunk pops open. You follow him to it, and after rummaging around in the contents for a minute, he brings out a pair of pliers. Alright, you go over there, take care of the light. I got a few things to get together. You crouch down behind the fence when you reach the lot, scrambling along in the shadows until you reach the dealership's main building. With a peek over the edge, you see that the wall of the building is cast in shadow from a poorly placed streetlight. Another peek, and you spot a car the same make as yours off to the back of the lot, near a sign that says, Discount section! Big deals! It takes an embarrassing amount of effort to get to the fence, but you manage it and press yourself flat against the wall, inching towards the fuse box. It's locked. You can pry it open with pliers and look over what's inside. A bunch of switches, some wires. Flip the biggest switch. With your face pinched in concentration, you push the biggest switch in the opposite direction, and the entire place goes dark. You slip the tools in your back pocket and take a look around to make sure the power's out. With a satisfied nod, you feel your way out into the parking lot, knocking your shin on 3 separate cars before you figure you should probably just stop and wait for Stan. Where you at, kid? His voice isn't far away, but his isn't close either. You feel your way around an SUV, then a sedan. The gravel in your parking lot crunches under your feet, and you reflexively stare at the ground ahead of you as your eyes slowly adjust to the darkness. Out ahead of you, a flashlight turns on and scans the lot until it finds you. Found you! He sounds amused, probably at the way he is standing with your arms spread wide over a sleek modern sports car. Getting familiar with the merchandise, yeah. You give the car an awkward pat and make your way towards the beginning of the flashlight's beam. You see anything the same make as yours before the light shut off? Yeah, there's one back at the discount section. It's kind of insulting now that you think about it, actually. He hands you the flashlight when you reach him, and you start to slowly head back towards the discount cars. Discount. Your car is... It's a classic! It's usually extremely reliable. To be perfectly honest, it's not even your fault it's in the state it's in. It was Ford and is... whatever it is. You're deep in salty thoughts when hands suddenly grip your ribs on either side. Gotcha! Ah! You scream and throw back an elbow at whatever's got a hold of you, and you hear Stan yelp and fall in a clatter of kicked gravel and metal clanking together. He scared you again! Oh gosh. Wow. I really got you that time. Holy smokes, kid! You turn the flashlight to where you heard him fall. You find him with a hand cupped over his face, blood dribbling out from between his gloved fingers. Yeah, I deserved that one. Oh, frick. I'm really sorry. Nah, I'll be alright. Just help me up. You tuck the still-lit flashlight into your back pocket for a moment, reaching down and finding his hand in the dark to pull him up. Once he's on his feet, you retrieve the flashlight from your pocket. It's to bring the beam to Stan's face. You find him holding a handkerchief over his nose and squinting. He's apparently brought a backpack with him, and it's sitting on the ground behind him where he presumably dropped it when you elbowed him. You know, that was a real solid hit. You got a lot of power there. I know if you were just saying it to be nice earlier, but I really could show you some moves. Teach you how to direct that strength. Yeah, that was pretty fun. He moves the hanky from his nose for a moment, gently prodding at the bridge of his nose with a finger and frowns. Well, it's not broken, that's for sure. That's good. He laughs quietly, taking a clean corner handkerchief and dabbing at his nose with it, grimacing and sniffling hard when it comes back still clean. Good to go. You sure you're alright? Yeah, of course. Gotten worse beatings than that, believe me. His face is flushed from his sudden injury, but he does look otherwise okay, so you sigh and plant your hands on your hips. Then let's finish this. He reaches out towards you, then catches a glimpse of the blood and reconsiders, wiping his gloves as clean as he can with the hanky. When he reached the car you spotted earlier, he pops the hood and drops his pack on the ground next to the bumper, unzipping it to reveal a jumble of various wrenches and tools. Alright, hold the flashlight ready on the engine and keep an eye out. Okay, keep a lookout as he told you to? Watch him work just for a minute. Oh god, I wanna watch him work! Keeping a lookout is definitely important, you think, as he rolls up his sleeves and exposes steady, well-muscled forearms. That's... wow. His gloved hands take a deliberate, practiced movements without hesitation, zeroing in on the spark plugs immediately. He bends over the front of the car, his jacket riding up his back as he stretches to grab a deeply set part, and you catch one glimpse of skin before hastily turning your attention back to the lot in front of you. You're suddenly very glad it's dark as you feel a blush spread over your face and all the way out to your ears. It doesn't take long for him to get what he needs for your car, shutting the hood and setting his pack on it as he stuffs parts into it. That was quick. Nah, the parts you needed are easy to find. Just takes the right... Hey! What are you doing there? That you, bud? The beam of flashlight finds you both, and Stan turns around quickly, leaving the bag behind himself on the hood. Yeah? Hans? The heck happened to your face? What are you doing here? Hey! See the parts again? No. Stan inches closer to you until your shoulders touch, and behind you, he pushes the bag into your hands before lowering his voice to speak to you. Run for it. Keep the bag out of sight and toss it into some bushes nearby. I'll get it later. You nod, picking out the bag and holding it behind yourself. The flashlight by the road moves clear, and you slowly scoot away from the car and backwards. Hey, you! Where are you going? You move backwards a little faster, still keeping the bag out of sight, and when the light leaves you to check on Stan, you make a break for it towards the back of the fence, throwing the bag over it ahead of you. A new voice nearby speaks, and you yelp. Hey, where are you going, you burglar? You're under arrest for burglary! The shout from Stan behind you, and then a heavy thud, and one of the car alarms starts squealing. You're so surprised by the alarm that a second cop gets his hand around your wrist and slaps a pair of handcuffs on you. You better quit your squirming there, buddy. We caught you fair and square. Oh, come on, Blubs. I've saved a town from an interdimensional demon. Give me a break. Sorry, Stan. We got a job to do. Stan grumbles quietly, and the man behind you leads you towards the road behind Stan and Blubs, who's now got him in handcuffs. Can he get out of this, but how? Try grab something off his belt that's a little less dangerous. Close the space between you and the cop behind you. Once something moves between your fingers, you grab it, bring it back. Not sure what it is, but it feels like cold and metal, so you slip it into your back pocket. Ah, shoot, darling. We don't have the cruiser. Me and my idea of romantic strolls in the moonlight. Well, why don't we just Commander Stan's car? You mean Commandeer? I don't know. Edwin Derlin, you are an absolute delight, and I cherish having you as my life partner. Derlin giggles behind you, and Blubs giggles with him. The two of them push you and Stan into the backseat of the car, crowding you in with the Swooning. Stan grips it protectively, muttering under his breath about the fuzz. He's quiet for most of the ride, only speaking at once. You okay, Lion? Let's see. I mean, I'm okay. I'm as okay as I can be since I've been arrested. I'll get back to you on that. Oh man, I couldn't make this like a catchphrase. You know what? Yeah, I'm alright. He falls silent after you respond and stays that way all the way back to the station. Inside the station, Derlin leads you to a pair of chairs by a desk and Blubs disappears down a hallway. Blubs is back after a few minutes, a deep frown set into his face, and after directing this frown at Derlin, he takes you and Stan down another hallway to a set of cells. Ah, goddammit, not again. At the first, he withdraws a set of keys and opens the door. You and Stan are uncuffed, and with a sullen and somewhat alarming clang, the cell door shuts and locks. You two better get comfortable. We'll get your prints in the morning. Stan grumbles, settling down onto one of the provided bunk beds, and you sit down on the one next to it, facing him. He peels off his gloves, tucking them inside out into his pockets, and fiddles with the loose thread on the thin wool blanket on the bunk bed. Through the door at the end of the hallway, you hear Derlin say something about fancy black finger paints to Blubs. Here in the black fluorescent lights, you can see that he still has a bit of a blood smeared under his nose and on his chin, and you feel the flush of embarrassment when you remember that you're the one who did that to him. I can't wait to see how everyone back home reacts when they find out I've been arrested, but it's not so great. Are we really in jail right now? Am I having some sort of weird nightmares? Well, this is not so great. You could say that again. And we gotta get out of here. Stan shrugs, crossing his arms over his chest and flopping back onto the mattress. Don't think we can, kid. I'll see if I can convince them that you got hypnotized or something to come along with me. Keep you out of trouble. Listen, if you're going down for this, then so am I. He laughs quietly, propping himself up on his elbows. You don't want to get in trouble with the law, kid. Trust me. This isn't my first time spending the night in jail. Not by a long shot. Sounds rough. Yeah, well, so it goes. This won't be so bad compared to 5 years in a Colombian prison. There's a story behind that, but he doesn't look like he wants to tell it at the moment. No one wants to tell about their prison stories. No one. I mean, some people just can't help themselves. I'm one of those people. Anyway, the only way we're getting out of here is with the keys. Then we could just slip out a window or something. You think for a moment, stuff your hands into your pockets, and suddenly remember the thing you grabbed off the second cop, Derlin. Oh wait! You jump to your feet and dig into your back pocket, withdrawing the small metal thing you stole to find that it's a set of car keys on a plastic keepsake photo FOB. Stan's not looking, staring down at the floor of the cell instead. You think you know what to do with these. You go up to the bar of the cell, looking for Derlin. Hey, can you help me out here? You dropped your car keys. A faint discussion in the other room stops, and a moment later, Derlin comes into view. Where'd you get my keepsake key fob? Been looking for that. You hold it out through the bars with both hands. As he reaches for his key fob, you reach out to his belt with your right hand to unclip the ring of keys from his belt. He doesn't notice. Derlin thanks you for returning his key fob and gives both you and Stan a scrutinizing stare before heading back down the hallway and through the door. You hold the keys in front of yourself and jingle them triumphantly. Look what I got off Derlin! Stan stares at you in disbelief, then at the keys, then back at you again before laughing incredulously. Are you sure you don't have experience with this kind of thing? Stan takes the keys from you, looking them over in his palm. He smiles up at you, then looks down at the keys and covers his mouth with his hand, dragging it down under his chin. Can't believe I've been shown up by a tourist. Well, get used to it, buddy, cause I've got skills. He looks proud, smiling up at you like you just handed him $1 million. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get the heck out of here. He stands as you reach through the bars and try keys until one works. The door swings open with a quiet creak and creep out down the hallway to the door. I'm surprised they didn't actually like get rid of our belongings. That seems like a major oversight. You open it a crack, looking out into the lobby and see Blubs asleep at the front desk. Derlin not in sight. Slowly, you pull a door open and move into the lobby. Stan taps your shoulders and whispers low. You gotta get my keys. You see him anywhere? You glance around and spot him next to where Blubs is asleep, drool pulling on the table. Shoot. Crossing your fingers for luck, you sneak over to the desk and reach out to grab them, when suddenly, Blub stirs and mumbles. Damn barefoot's in my shoes! Stretching all over my shoes! Stan snorts behind you, and you manage to suppress a laugh as you pluck the keys away. Wait, hold on! Stan disappears into another room, and you're stunned, wondering what the heck he could be doing right now that's more important than escaping. Pretty sure he's getting his painting. Before you have a chance to call him something you might regret later, he reappears in the doorway with a troublesome clown painting under his arm. Seriously? Duh! Alright, let's roll! Slipping out with only a click of the station door closing behind you, you and Stan climb into his car and escape into the night. After stopping by Bud's dealership to pick up the hidden backpack, you and your partner in crime head back to the shack in comfortable silence. You feel tired if it weren't for the adrenaline. You carry the backpack inside while Stan brings the clothing and the briefcase, setting both on the kitchen table. I call that a successful night. Even though we got arrested, so would I. Fun too. You grin over at him and realize in the bright kitchen light that he still got blood on his face. How do you keep forgetting? You're the one who elbowed him after all. You've got... Well, come here. You pull one of the chairs out from under the table, gesturing for him to sit down. Oh! Oh God! He is cut! Nice! He looks a little weary but obeys. The chair's ancient metal frame creaking under his weight. You grab a couple of paper towels, turning on the faucet and sink and wetting them. I'll clean him up. Mentally steadying yourself, you hold onto the side of his face and neck in your hand. With gentle pressure, you guide his head and tilt back up until he's lit up fully by the overhead light. You can feel him blush under your hand, his skin heating up. He seems too surprised to protest or even speak as you wipe the now dry blood from his face. He's quiet while you work, watching you with warm brown eyes rimmed with dark lashes. I could have taken care of this myself, you know. He says this, but he hasn't pulled away or made any moves to leave. I did the damage. Least I can do is clean up after myself. Anyway, you've done plenty as is. The paper towels you have become too soiled to work with, so you toss them into the trash and go back to get a few more. Your hands return to his cheeks. You could be imagining things, but it almost feels like he leans into it. I really did have a good time with you tonight. I had no idea crime could be so fun. He smirks, avoiding your gaze. I had a good time too. You pause for a moment, realizing something. Those cops aren't gonna come after us, are they? Stan shrugs. Probably not. They're nice enough guys. Not exactly competent. You laugh quietly and he smirks up at you. You stand back to make sure you're finished and toss the paper towels into the trash. You sure it's not broken? Nah, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Your hand lingers on his cheek. I'll hug him. You take a fortifying deep breath and lean down, wrapping your arms around him. Thanks. For the car parts. You pull away and he's got a funny look on his face. And for the good time. Well, good night. He stares at you for a moment with that look on his face, then composes himself and gives you a goofy smile. Sleep tight, Lionel. You brush your teeth and change into your pajamas. It's not until you get into bed that you realize you're still smiling. The rush from it all hasn't completely faded, but after a while your eyes grow heavy and drift off to sleep. Nobody back home is ever going to believe this. Anyway, that's the end of this episode of Swooning Over Stans. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back with more Swooning Over Stans if you guys want to see more, of course. So, hey, if you do want to see more, let me know in the comments below. And let me know, like, are you more of a Stan fan, or a Stan, or a Fort Stan? Like, which Grunkle would you go for? Anyway, hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.